And then we have our deputy provost, the deputy provost admin, Isirabo. We also have our deputy provost academics, Mr. Sagede. And then we have our own provost, in the person of Mrs. Seweka, seated by our guest lecturer. Our guest lecturer is not a strange face. I'm sure before she can be in this association, she must have finished from this school. So she must be somebody that this school has impacted on. And she's coming back now to impact on the school also. So we're going to welcome Mrs. Okungbowa, right? Mrs. Okungbowa. She's going to be giving the lecture on communication in nursing, the way forward. Shall we stand as we welcome her? She's a senior colleague and she deserves the standing ovation. Thank you very much, ma'am. Good to see you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Please sit down. I'm so grateful that I can stand here to address you all on communication. I don't know, but I just feel like I am one of you. I just feel like I'm still young because a few years ago, I was sitting over there. I still remember my lecturers, but the only reason that I feel different is when I see my children. You know, otherwise, I just still feel connected to the chairs that you all are sitting right now. So I'm so eternally grateful that I'm on this side. But you're going to be on this side in a few years. So because you're not going to be one of those after graduation and you disappear. This is our alma mater. We have to build it. We have to bring it to the stage where we want it, okay? So when we come back, when you see your colleagues, we are going to be colleagues, okay? You don't want to see us as your lecturers, because I'm a graduate of this school, so you are my colleague. As far as we're in nursing together, you are my colleague, right? So that is the culture we want to bring so that we can always look back. We must look back. We must give back, okay? It doesn't matter where you are. Wherever you are, stay planted. Because when you are planted where you are, you will flourish, okay? You don't have to be out of this country for you to flourish. It depends on how you look at it. So wherever you are, once you are graduated from this school, this honorable school, we must look back, okay, and contribute. It's very important. To be able to do that, communication is a key, and that is why we are choosing this topic today. What is communication in nursing? We know that communication is a foundation for everything that we do in life. When we have children, I know most of you don't have children yet, but trust me, the women, when you miss that first period and you're pregnant, you're legally married and you're pregnant, you get connected to that child. Once that child is born, the first time that child starts to babble, oh mothers, when that child says, mama, there is, you know, at the cellular level, the neuroendocrine system, there are those hormones that are going to be released. It makes you feel connected that you are a mother. That is communication, mama. When they say dada, it makes you feel there's something going on at the cellular level. So if we miss that, if we don't continue like that, this is how we get breakdown in communication. So what is communication then? So what is communication? So definition of communication in nursing. Even though we say in nursing, I don't want any of us to tie it down to nursing, because in every aspect of our lives, whether in our marriages, whether at work, whether our profession, communication is applicable. Whatever we learn here today, let's take it and apply it to our situations in life, because many of the things the trouble we are into today is because of communication. Those that are married, they can testify to that. So if you're not married, this is the time to get it right. It's not when you are in it. Because when you lose the words from your mouth, you cannot retrieve it. That's why you want to learn it quick and keep it and apply it to your children. Because if you provoke your child the wrong way, you may end up losing that child. So communication is too powerful in our daily living. Communication in nursing refers to the process of exchanging information. I like that word, exchanging. It is bi-directional, so it's not one way. So otherwise, there's no communication, okay? So it is exchanging, okay? Information, ideas, your head, my head, emotions, okay? All of that is tied into it. So between the nurses, the families, the patient, the entire community, okay? And it is a fundamental component. When something is fundamental, that means it's like almost husband and wife married, right? You are glued. If you take love out of these two people that are raised in two different cultures, it's empty, right? So that is the fundamental. So communication is a fundamental component of nursing practice. Otherwise, whatever we are learning here today to become a nurse is just empty if we don't have communication in place. So when we have it in place, now we can ensure effective care delivery to the patient, to the families, to the community. We can have patient safety. We want to protect our patients. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble because you and I will become patient one time or another. I don't think there's anyone that goes through this phase of the world and not get sick one time or another. So you are a patient. I'm a patient. So therefore, we want to make sure that we are safe in our culture. So therapeutic relationship. So if you don't have communication in place, think about it. If the doctor say, give Tylenol, give Motrin 10,000 milligrams to the patient. If you don't understand that, and you just go ahead because the doctor said give, and you go ahead and give it without verifying it, listen, your therapeutic outcome is going to be poor. And that is just based on communication. Next. So we have types of communication. Verbal communication, like I'm doing right now. We have nonverbal, written, visual, and electronic communication. Next. Verbal communication, that is like I'm talking right now. Again, that child that started learning that language, we started teaching that child how to talk, put syllables together. All of that is verbal communication. However, look at that thing in yellow. For that verbal communication to be okay and be good, the tone of voice, how clear my talking is. If I'm babbling, I might not be able to communicate with you. The choice of words. When you don't choose the right words, it's better not to even speak at all. Because if I don't verbalize something, I may not be able to actually offend you. Okay? But when I say it, I can't take it back. It doesn't matter how many apologies that I render. Okay? Tomorrow, you're going to make reference to it. That is what we are as human beings, because we have many computer brains. We keep things. You can't erase it. So we have to make sure that tone, clarity, and choice of words that we use in our communication, we are mindful of that. Next. Non-verbal communication is as powerful as verbal communication. We all grew up from different cultures. In the Benin culture, when my mother looks at me when I was growing up, a lot was said to me through her non-verbal cues. Okay, just look. But the children of this generation, when you look at them, they're going to tell you, my mother said I should not eat the food. And then you will not be trying to save yourself. When did I tell you that? The way they take it further up, the way you look at me just now. So non-verbal communication is as powerful as verbal communication. So your feeling of the patient, the nurses, especially words that are not fully conveyed to the patient, can actually result in bad treatment for the patient. Okay, next. Written communication. This is very crucial in nursing practice, in the medical profession. When something is written, the doctors are going to write a lot of prescription. Many of us have scribbling handwriting. We cannot assume what they are trying to write because BID is not the same as TID, or TDS. So if you know that that drug is supposed to be BID or PRN, you better catch it because you nurses, us, we are in the middle of all of these healthcare professionals. So we must get it right, okay? As written communication can have an adverse, outcome if we don't, okay? To maintain patient safety, written communication, you must make sure you understand it. You can even read back to whoever has written it, okay? Next. So types of communication, visual communication. So looking is a form of communication. You know, there are some patients that are quadriplegic patient, for example, right? Right? The only way they can communicate, they lost their speech. Okay, they are the stroke. Some of them, they communicate by closing their eyes for yes. When you teach them, they can close their eyes for yes, open their eyes for no, things like that, Okay. So visual. And also patients too, you can teach them through visual aids. For example, if a patient is in pain, right? They cannot speak English. Where I work, we have special expression matched to the pain level scale, okay? 1 to 4, the pain is minimal. 5 to 7, moderate pain. Then from 8 to 10, so these are visual aids that we can use to communicate to the patient. Next. Electronic communication. We're so grateful for how we are growing electronically. Technology is taking us to a different level. We have to be very, very careful with electronic communication. As long as it's come to help us to really get our nursing care into another level, at the same time, it has come to destroy us too, especially this litigation thing going on here and there. You cannot, students, listen to this very part. You cannot, you should not alter anything that is electronic, okay? Because they wired the monitors, okay, to your record. If you think you made blunders, don't change it. Put a note, an addendum, so that when it makes it to court, they will know you caught it at that time. You knew what was going on. Even if it's a blood pressure of like 60/30, don't do anything about that. You are free to say it's an artifact. I repositioned the cuff. Now the blood pressure is this. Or it's not an artifact. I treated it, match your drug that you gave at that time to elevate. So because the next blood pressure is going to reflect it, even if the patient dies on the table, it doesn't matter. But do not go in there and erase those numbers and put a good number in it. If that patient makes it to court, these lawyers, they blow it up, okay? And then everybody will see what you did. So I don't know where you're going to practice, but take this to the bank. Don't alter electronic recording, okay? Next. Okay, divisions of communications. There are so many divisions of communication. Intrapersonal communication. That is communication within yourself. I call it internal dialogue, okay? You are constantly talking to yourself. If you have that internal dialogue going, you will save yourself of uttering things. So my boss can be talking to me right now, trying to rebuke me for what I'm doing. I am in my head cursing him out. But he doesn't know it. But my outward appearance, I'm being receptive of what he's saying. Because you're having that constant internal dialogue, telling yourself, he's my superior, okay? I better be mindful of my body languages, whatever culture you are, where you find yourself, put on that respectful, okay, demeanor when you talk to your boss or your superior. Because I'm beginning to hear so many things now that students in my school of training is actually taking their professors to court. That is unheard of. What happens to that? We don't do that. As students, when it comes to that, we should be submissive to our professors, our teachers, okay? Don't do that. That they are there to teach you. You are there to learn. They're not going to abuse you. So intrapersonal communication. Do more of that in your head, inside, so that you can be able to monitor yourself. So that will go a long way too when you take care of your patient. You don't talk back to those patients like that. They are human beings. We are here to take care of them, so we have to respect them. Don't forget, you could be that patient too. And I know when I'm a patient, I want to be, loved. Okay? Every one of us, that is their most vulnerable time in life. All they need is just love. For somebody to alleviate their fears that it will be okay. Okay? Intrapersonal. The next one is interpersonal relationship, you and I. Okay, this is very crucial, especially when you and I are in partnership to take care of the next patient. Okay, so how I relate with you is important to be able to take care of the patient. If I don't give you that good report, if there is a breakdown in that report, if the doctor gives me an order and I think I don't understand it, I need to read it back to him. What did you say? Did you say you want bupivacaine 0.5 milligrams? He will tell you no. I said 0.25. You heard something different. Once your spirit questions it, because this is not in the book. This is why, for example, anesthesia is an act. Okay? It's an art. So there is something you don't learn from the book. It comes. So with that, once you get it, go with it. It's always right. They call it an instinct. Okay? So that is interpersonal relationship. That one can be like one-on-one or just a small group of 3 to 5 people. Next. Group communication, whereby something can go wrong on the floor, then we just get a few people on that floor ready for that day, for that event. We talk about it. It's called debriefing. Okay? Something went wrong. We are not here to punish anyone. Management must know that. Okay? It's not about punishment. It's about we debrief this case. We learn from it. The documentation of this is not part of the patient record. Okay? It's called quality assurance. We take care of business. We don't want this to happen again. We are not going to sack anyone. We are learning. This is why we cannot falsify anything. So group communication is when we take care of issues like that. Next. Public communication, okay? Like when you do health education, like washing of hands, that is a form of public communication. That is an example of public communication to disseminate health information, increase health awareness in our environment. Next. So for our communication to be effective, there are so many things that need to be in place, okay? Especially in this very environment. So information in that manner has to be clear, has to be compassionate, and in order for us to have a desired outcome that we want in our healthcare system. So there are 3 things that is bolded: listening, empathy, adaptation. If you are communicating with someone and you are not listening, I remember at times I'm on the phone, I'm washing dishes in the sink, I'm multitasking, and my child is calling me, like my husband is talking to me. All of that is going on. My whole head is going crazy. Okay, I'm not in control, and then my husband in there is saying you are not listening. I can't be listening when I have so many distractions at the same time. These days, they call it multitasking. Truth be told, you can attest to that. And none of us can actually multitask. There's a pause. Your brain stops. Especially when you are dealing with numbers. You have to Okay? So remember that. So all those, multitasking business, nobody can actually multitask anything. So active listening is very crucial to have effective communication, especially with our patient. I gave an example when I was, I do anesthesia for a living. When I work in endoscopy suite, everybody get oxygen. I didn't know what I was doing until one day I needed endoscopy myself. When they put that nasal cannula in my nose, oh my word, it looks like it was going to blow off my face. I was like, whew. I always tell my patient, oh, this was my language. It's just oxygen. But after my experience, now I know it's not just oxygen. Okay? So, empathy. Empathy is a key. You want to wear the shoes exactly where the patient is wearing it. We must be empathetic. It's not just. If you've had children, you've never had children, those labor pains are real. They are painful. So, even though I need to put my epidural in the patient when they are establishing labor, when I'm delivering that to the patient, I should do it with empathy. I know it hurts. Your labor is not well established. If I give it too early, I'm actually knock off the few contractions you are having right now. You are almost there. You're 3 centimeters when you have 4. Or, we will put the epidural in. I understand. Focus on your deep breathing exercises. Okay? You can do this. See, how you empathize with the patient goes a long way in that. So, to have effective communication, you must be able to empathize with your patient. All right, and then adaptation. Some people, we all, come from different culture. Your ability to adapt to somebody else's culture is crucial in communication. So you cannot be a one-way traffic at all, okay? You have to adapt to people's different culture. Next. So clarity and simplicity of the language that you use when you are communicating with a patient or with your colleague is very crucial. You cannot be talking to my mother who is illiterate and be telling her you are going to be NPO after midnight. Does she understand what is NPO? You have not communicated with my mom. Okay? We will be taking you to the PACU after surgery. What is PACU? Come to my level, be clear. That way you and I are on the same level. Okay? Next. So keep it simple. Get away from medical jargons, basically. Okay. Talked about empathy. Feedback. Feedback is very important in communication, whether you are working with your colleagues on the unit. Okay, make sure they understand the report you gave to this patient because they are going to supposed to continue with your care. So you have to make sure that communication is happening. Or feedback to, like I said just now, the surgeon is busy in the field trying to put another suture, and he say, anesthesia, I want to give, marking. How much can I give? I had a series of questions to ask him. Just can't say me, he's already ready with the syringe, about to push. He said, excuse me, what is your strength? With or without epinephrine? These are the things I have to, then now he's freezing with the syringe waiting for me. Once he answered those questions, okay, just a minute. Because plain bupivacaine, I'm going to be doing 3 milligrams per kilo. What is the patient's weight? So I have some steps to go through. If it is with epi, I'm going to be looking at 7 milligrams per kilo. So it's not, honey, hold on. I need to get on my phone. I need to, check my math. And before I tell you what actually your maximum dose, right? So these are the things that must, be in place when it comes to feedback. Because they have another thing in their head and you have another one in your head. All right, next. So your nonverbal cues, for you to have effective communication, your nonverbal cues is as important as your verbal cues, okay? You're stressed out on the unit trying to cover all your patient workload. And a family member runs into you in the hallway. Sister, my brother wants water. You can't say, madam, make you wait at the come. All of that. It's your body language. And I'm reading. Okay? Just think. If you were the one, your brother is thirsty, you sent your mother to ask for the water, and nobody is bringing that water, how will you feel? How will you feel? But that same time, you can still tell the patient, you are not bringing the water right away because somebody needed a pain medication from you, and it's just only you. Oh, Mrs. Rose, what did you say? My mother, what room is that? Room 6. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, tell your brother I'll bring you back the water. But so for you taking that time to just let them know, acknowledge they are human beings with feelings like yours, they will wait. They will exercise a little patience. Okay, for your communication to be effective, you have to do that. Cultural sensitivity. We are all from different cultures. Some cultures, they don't want male to take care of them in the hospital. We have to respect that. Okay? Don't say, now they got the hospital. Now if I be the CMD. No. We got to respect people. So you have to make up for cultural sensitivity. Okay? So, emotional regulations. Emotional regulation. You want your communication to be effective, you should regulate your emotions. Yes, there's a lot of workload in the hospital, but you cannot bring your personal baggage. You have to leave it at the door. Even if you left your home, your boyfriend, your husband, whoever, your children, they slapped you, as long as you get to the door of that hospital, you are coming to take care of patients. You are here to liaise with your colleague for that communication not to break down. You must take care. Remember that intra-personal communication, that your internal dialogue within you. You must take care of that. Everything else got to wait. Now I'm in the taking care of this woman. Because if you don't, we have some, serious stories whereby something was ordered, heparin was ordered, subcutaneous, and somebody whose head was not in the right place and gave it scrotal, right? Scrotal. And then now we are dealing with gangrene and you're dealing with somebody's life now. So if that person doesn't have a child yet, now you are destroying everything about the manhood. So are you going to, even if they don't arrest you, what about your conscience? Do no harm is part of this whole thing in our profession. You see? So emotional regulation, I cannot stress that enough because some of us, we get so erratic the way we are raised in our families. We are so short. Nobody should tell me I'm like that, I'm short-tempered. It's okay. We can be short-tempered. Go leave it at the door when you head into the hospital setting because you're dealing with human beings. Because even if you don't do it to the patient, your colleague, there's something about anger and anxiety. I don't know about you all. Once I encounter them, even if you are happy, they infuse that into you. And then they change your whole being. And you just finish saying your prayers before you hit the hospital setting. And the first person you met and say, good morning, they ask you, what is good about this morning? What is wrong? Why are you telling me what is good about this morning? As far as I know, this is a beautiful day and I'm going to enjoy it. So you got to take control like that. So if somebody says, what is good about this morning? Tell yourself, internal dialogue, he's having a bad day. And move on. He's having a bad day because I'm not ready to have a bad day because I'm going to be taking care of a life out there. You understand it? So emotional regulation is very important. Next. So we have challenges in nursing with communication. So what are some of these challenges? Next. So time constraints. Time constraint. Of course, healthcare right now is about business. It's about making money, right? So it's like every other business. So we're not going to blame them. Instead of them to staff a unit with 6 nurses, they decide to start that unit with 4, which means the few nurses are going to be burnt out. They're going to overload your system. Now, the thing is, our bosses, they want us to chart flawlessly because your chart is what is going to represent you in the court of law. It doesn't matter if your patient is having diarrhea and you are changing that bed every 2 hours. When that thing happens, they're not going to say, how many bed pan did you give? How many incontinent pad did you change? So none of that. So now you are pressured. You have a conscience. I don't want my patient to have the cubital ulcer. So I must do that. So now I need to do this electronic documentation and I have to catch up with that. I'm talking about time constraint as a problem that is hindering our effective communication. Time constraint. And I have to give report. And if I get out of the unit late, especially those of us that clock in and clock out, the next day your boss is going to call you and say, why did you clock out? You're supposed to clock out at 7:30. Now you clock out at 8 because they know they're going to pay you that 30-minute overtime. Time constraint, okay? It's a problem. So because it's a problem, we bypass, shortcut, some of us. But we have to be careful because what goes around comes around. Emotional strain is another problem that we have that is working against effective communication. Like I said, all of us, we have issues, we have problems. But you need to use, for me, I use gratitude. I use gratitude as my weapon. I so love gratitude, I started a gratitude channel in social media. So, gratitude is the mother of all virtues. Love, joy, long-suffering, patience, endurance. All of these virtues, because I preach it every day on social media, they are now becoming part of me. It's my way of life. So when I encounter, because in this world you will encounter tribulations. Since I know I will, okay, fine. I'm using virtues, the virtues of authentic gratitude to live my day. So when I'm having a bad day, I am neutralizing it. This thing has come to teach me patience. I'm breathing through it. I'm talking about emotional regulations. You got to be able to you have to find something that you latch onto. It could be spiritual, it could be prayers, it could be music and all that. I listen to my Christian music in the car. It prepped me for the day because the first person I'm going to meet over there is going to tell me what is good about this day. So I'm getting ready to neutralize every one of them. Okay? You got to find that thing. I don't know what it is for you. Use it to the maximum so that you can appear a beautiful person before the whole world. So that everyone can still have something good to talk about and say, you know what? She's always smiling. Even though you are cursing them out in your heart. But she's always smiling. You got to smile through that clenched teeth. Let everybody see you as she's always smiling. And trust me, there is nothing you cannot get through with smiles. I even use it, I hope my husband will not see this video. I use it very well with my husband. You got to smile your way through everything. Like that. Because intra-communication is going on in your head. If I don't give you my word, you are not going to find it to use against me. Because if you use it, I apologize. You are not still forgiving me. Because you can't wipe it out of your computer head. That's why I can't give you my word for you to latch on and use it for the future. Right? Okay. Language barrier is another thing that hinders our effective communication, whether in nursing, in your family, anywhere you go. So, because of language barrier, we have to look for people to interpret for us. Be careful using family members, especially in this culture, using family members as your interpreter, because you don't know, people are fighting over land, over properties and all that. Use neutral people that can interpret for you. Health literacy in this part of the world, many people are very illiterate. They don't understand anything about health. Listen, when you go out there, people know so much about their health, their medications, their interactions, which means you better be ready to know the comorbidities of this patient in relation to your drugs that you are giving. Because they already look it up before they come to you. So when if you can't explain yourself, they don't feel secured. They don't trust you. So you better know yourself. You see how you are burning right now, student? This knowledge? Don't drop it after you start working. You need it so that you can stand out when you work among your colleagues, so that your senior colleagues can respect you, because when you talk with them, you are talking at the cellular level, okay? You let them know you know what you're talking about. So literacy is important. If you don't know what you're talking about, If the patient knows more than you, it's so sad. Next. Technology, while health record and communication tools are meant to streamline the processes, they also create barrier. So be careful. I gave an example when I was with my colleagues this morning that it depends on how you handle. For us, our cell phone that we carry around is also a mode of communication. So if I'm talking to a patient who is very anxious pre-operatively and they're going to need some form of midazolam for me to calm them down. So as soon as they see me, they are like, as soon as I introduce myself, oh, you are the anesthesia. Oh, please, I'm so anxious. I need more drug. I have to choose whether to hold their hands and talk them like a monkey can, you can talk a monkey down with banana. Well, after talking to you, you're not going to be anxious and I'm not going to give you more drugs. That is how I want to approach, that scenario. So we have to be, careful with our technology. If my phone rings while I'm trying to talk you out of your emotional trouble, so I have a choice to either look at that phone at that time or not. I'm thinking about looking at it because I don't know if my boss is trying to tell me that next patient, we are trying to flip it for the other patient. But I have a patient who is so anxious. Now, if I look at my phone, he might be thinking she doesn't even care anyway. You see my dilemma? So I have to choose this very well. If you are so anxious for me like that, I will ignore this for now. If you are not the anxious type, I will be like, Miss Jones, just a second, let me check. Oh, okay, it's my boss. I'm obligated to tell you it's my boss trying to say X plus Y equals Z. Because I don't want you misunderstanding me that I don't care. I want to live with you that I care about you and that without your job, without you being present here, I don't have no job. You get it? Yes. Next. So leadership. So our overall patient-centered approach to care in our organization, we want to be able to focus on safety. Safety. We want our patient to be safe. So with that triangle there, if we trust the system, we report the system, we'll be able to improve the care that we give to our patient. So this is not about punishing, sacking our staff. It's about correcting the system. So it's a pyramid. Okay? Next. So we need our leadership system to help us to put in safe for our patient safety goals to be met. Patients and families are part of this plan. We cannot exclude our families. I know that is a culture we have here. We keep everything almost like secret from our patient family. Ideally, they should be part of this whole, because patient needs to be treated as a whole, body, soul, and spirit, holistic care. So when a patient family is asking questions, we are obligated to communicate that with them. They are in fear. They're about to lose their loved ones. So why not involve them in the care? So if you don't involve them in this care, then there will be a breakdown in communication. And then you are not able to allay their fears and their anxiety. So actually, the more they know, the more they trust you and I, the more they are calm to cooperate with their care. You see? Next. Next. So I talked about disclosing information. One of the ways that our management can help us is to create environment or forum like this or platforms that we can learn and increase, our knowledge about, relationship with patient, family, our colleagues. Through Joint Commission, where I practice, we have what we call Joint Commission. These are bodies out there. Annually, they come to our hospital unannounced so that they can catch us with our flaws. So when they catch us, now the management set up, they're going to use those flaws to educate us so that we don't make the same mistake again. Because there's just so much mistake we can make. That very body, they have the power to close down that hospital. So if we put this thing in place all the time like that, I don't think they can close you down. So the management needs to be cognizant. Or I don't know if we have that kind of regulatory body here that usually sneak up on us. So we have to be proactive as practitioners in our communication. Next. So training and education is a way forward to improve our communication, and that is what the management is putting in place right now. That is why we are having this kind of teaching session now. Promoting team-based communication. Again, no man is an island. If we have effective communication, we'll be able to work together as a team. If there's a break in communication, whereby I don't talk to you, so God forbid you are in my team tomorrow because I don't talk to you, that's going to affect my delivery. And the patient is in the middle of you and I, and we don't talk. So such a behavior, zero tolerance, because the patient is going to be the one to suffer. So if you are the type that carry grudges inside of you, please drop it. Don't bring it to the unit because the patient will suffer, okay? Next. Using technology mindfully, I already touched on a little bit of it just now. Don't get consumed with your technology. I am a victim of that too, you know. When I am in the OR, at the wrong time, my phone goes off. At times, I'm about to just stick the tube into the patient's airway, and my phone is vibrating. You know, it's natural, your brain goes there, especially when I know I'm expecting some crucial phone call. Maybe a child is this, a child is that. You know, so if you know your area of practice is that important, please put it over there first. When during downtime you pick it up and look at it, they can wait, you know. So, but again, electronic recording is good too, because through that we communicate with ourselves, which means we need to be very careful and make good decisions about our electronic kind of recording. Another thing is that electronic recording is central to all of the other departments. So what I document, you will see it, you will see, you will see it. Once upon a time, a patient told me, the record said they are allergic to morphine. When I asked my patient, any allergies? She said no. So how did the morphine get to your child? You know, so if you were not in a good frame of mind, emotional regulations, right? And you document morphine because of the way you are, now you are giving a patient a history that's not supposed to be. You see? All right. The management also have to help us to address health literacy. To know that they need to help us to come to a level whereby we are aware of all of these things. And using visual aids for the patient in particular, for them to know what we are talking about, so that communication, there will not be a gap in our communication. Next. We have to way forward from all these communication gap. We must create supporting work environment. So our management, they will need to support us in so many ways. If we are not flawless, if they see something that we've done wrong as staff, they will communicate that with us the right way without giving us sack letter. But they should have measures in place, something called like a warning, to help us sit up right. So that way we don't feel tense in our environment. That way we feel that they are very supportive of our care. Otherwise, we are going to be jumping. We see, anytime you try not to make mistakes, that is when you make the most mistakes. So we don't want that. We want to be at peace while we focus on the patient. So that's one way our management can support us. And they will also encouraging cultural, competence is another way. If we want to have good communication in our establishment like this, we need to make room for those patients that do not speak our language. Like I told them before, I don't speak Spanish, but the little ones that I need for my patient to do for me when they are waking up, I make sure I have those few ones under my belt so so that they can understand when they are waking up from anesthesia. Feedback and reflection. So for our communication to be effective, our management has to follow up with us or put measures in place that we are able to do this feedback mechanism and not be rushed, through all our procedures. So if you are teaching a patient, make them demonstrate back to you what you just taught them. Otherwise, it's going to be one way. Communication is supposed to be bi-directional. Next. Okay. So, training, transit, prolonging the culture change. Next. Okay. In conclusion, if you don't take anything home, I'm going to read this to you again so that you can understand the three main areas that we are focusing on or that we have focused on today when it comes to effective communication. So communication in nursing is multi-dimensional. That is both verbal, non-verbal, electronic. These are all kinds of communication. Don't just focus on verbal communication. We can communicate in different ways. Okay? Effective communication is essential for providing safe, compassionate care and fostering a positive relationship between the patient, between you and your patient, you and the families, you and your colleagues, you and your leaders up there. Okay? So you are in the center. Effective communication is essential by prioritizing active listening, empathy, clarity, cultural competence. Nurses can enhance patient outcome and improve collaboration. So it's very important. If you uproot effective communication from our healthcare, the patient will suffer. That is just the layman term. Patient is the one to suffer it. Even if they sack you, for example, if a patient died because of your inability to communicate, they may sack you and you go find another job. The family that lost that life may be in a father of 2 children, ages 1 and 2. Whatever the outcome of those lives bring in the future, they might end up in orphanage home. They might not be, so you cannot begin to stretch the future, okay, of non-effective communication can bring to the life of people because we don't think about it. So the next time you are angry, as you stumble into the hospital environment, please sit back in your car, just roll up the windows and do some deep breathing exercise because you are coming to take care of human beings that are loved ones. They have loved ones. And your action can result in generational problems in that family. So that's how effective, that is how powerful communication is. Many marriages have been broken just because of communication. Any marriage that does not have good communication, marriages should not have problems. If only one person can just know that my husband is so hot-headed, let me just be the neck of this man. He wants to be the head, let him be the head. I will be the neck so that I can turn him anywhere I want to turn him. But he's the head. That means he wants to be respected. Okay? I will respect him. He doesn't want me to talk back when he's talking. I may not talk back when he's talking. So when you use wisdom, 2 people can actually make it work. They will. They should. So that's how powerful communication is. Being in the hospital environment is a marriage. It is. Truly, it's a marriage. We are married to the patient. So whatever we know we cannot practice with our spouses, with our children, think about it. Don't do it to your patient because they are from a family that love them too. Thank you. That's my time. Yes.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Well thought out, well laid out, and very beautifully delivered.
Yes.
If you have questions, just signify by raising your hand. If you have questions, any question? Any question? All right. It's like our students were thoroughly fed, maybe overfed, and then they now do not have any questions. Am I speaking your mind?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So on behalf of the College of Nurses, we have the Provost, the faculty, we want to thank you for coming. We are really glad to have learned from you today. God bless you. Our next item is the cultural display by our students. Cultural display. Cultural display.
Thank you very much.
It's unfortunate that the faces that danced, we know them. If not, I would have told you that we brought them from the court of the Omonoba Nedu Oba of Benin. And you would have believed me, I'm sure. Very well. But because we know their faces, if I say that now, you say he's lying. I want to thank them for that very articulate invitation. I also want to thank Mrs. Bebe Okukowa and our amiable provost. It shows that you are some daughters of the soil. The blood is still flowing, very, very strong. So they cannot just help but keep going the dance. While the dance was going on, a very important dignitary came in. He was here before, I'm sure duty called, and then he walked away and came back again. If some other persons would not have bothered to come, I can assure you. But this man, he is one of us, always with us, always for us. Anytime, anything. So join me in the standing ovation. Let us welcome our senior Professor Stanley Okubo. Thank you very much. The next item is a speech by the outgone Student Union Government President. The President.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, members of staff, management, my colleagues, newly elected schools, and outgoing schools. I am Agoma Council Reda Francis, immediate past SQ President of the
It's a great honor to present this plaque of Lifetime Achievement Award to one of us, Mrs. Mebe Okubowa, as an alumna of the as alumna of the College of Nursing, she has exemplified excellence, dedication, and leadership throughout her life and career. Her remarkable achievements and her unwavering commitment have inspired countless individuals and brought immense pride to our community. I know at every time we have beckoned on her for whatever need we had as students and as a school, she has always answered us, from the computers to the training materials, the journals, and best among which was the token we received as SCG body during our Nurses Week. So on behalf of the student body, the students, the staff, we say a very big and hearty thank you. And we hope more students, after we've gone, would enjoy the level of confidence and support you've given us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The outgoing SCG president, we are very hopeful that the new executive will beat the record that this outgoing ESCO has set. So they have a very big shoe that they are stepping into, because these people did very, very well.